Yemen fired a ballistic missile towards Tel Aviv yesterday, but was thankfully intercepted. In retaliation, the U.S. struck a key Houthi command center in Yemen as Israel preps for more potential operations. Meanwhile, President-elect Donald Trump is considering military action to stop Iran's nuclear ambitions, including possible airstrikes. We have a lot to get into today, so stay tuned. I'm Justin, and this is the Israel Guys. For the first time in a while, a ballistic missile was just fired towards Israel, this time not by Iran, but by their proxy terror group inside of Yemen, the Houthis. Air raid sirens went off in Tel Aviv, but thankfully the missile was intercepted by Israel. No one was injured by the actual missile, but a few people were lightly injured while they were running to bomb shelters. Also, earlier in the day, the Israeli Navy took down a UAV in the Red Sea that was launched by the Houthis. And then in response to that, American forces carried out an airstrike against a Houthi command and control in Yemen. CENTCOM had this to say. They said, quote, "On December 16th, Yemen time, U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, forces conducted a precision airstrike against a key command and control facility operated by Iran-backed Houthis within Houthi-controlled territory in Sana'a, Yemen. The targeted facility was a hub for coordinating Houthi operations, such as attacks against U.S. Navy warships and merchant vessels in the southern Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. The strike reflects CENTCOM's ongoing commitment to protect U.S. and coalition personnel, regional partners, and international shipping." According to Israel's Channel 12 News, the IDF is preparing for the potential need to conduct another operation inside of Yemen following the Air Force's bombing of the Houthi-controlled port in Hodeidah on July 20th. And speaking of bombs, President-elect Donald Trump is reportedly weighing options to stop Iran's nuclear program. This is from the Wall Street Journal. They said, quote, "President-elect Donald Trump is weighing options for stopping Iran from being able to build a nuclear weapon, including the possibility of preventive airstrikes, a move that would break with the long-standing policy of containing Tehran with diplomacy and sanctions." Among the other options considered was supplying Israel with bunker buster type weapons that would enhance their ability to target Iran's nuclear facilities located deep underground. Also of note was the option of American conflict with Iran directly threatening the Iranian Ayatollahs with military force, although the team clarified that they would seek diplomatic solutions before resorting to force. In an interview last Thursday, Trump said that the situation is very volatile and anything can happen. In my personal opinion, Iran has been allowed to get way too close to nuclear weapons in the past. They should have been stopped a long time ago. Hopefully we see Trump continue to support Israel in this after he comes into power, but this is definitely a good sign and would be a good move for not just Israel, but our national security as well. Don't forget that Iran doesn't just call for Israel's destruction, they're also calling for the destruction of America. Okay, speaking of smart moves, and a bit of different news story for you guys today. The Israeli Aerospace Industries, the Israeli Innovation Authority, and Hebrew University just launched the first Israeli-built quantum supercomputer in Jerusalem. For those of you who maybe aren't as interested in technology, it's kind of like a super fast, super complex computer. But this computer operates fundamentally differently and in a much more technologically advanced way from so-called classical computers. And this fundamental difference is why quantum computers have the ability to completely revolutionize modern day computing with applications in research, healthcare, cybersecurity, defense, and much more. So this is pretty big. It's a groundbreaking field, and this is Israel's latest major step trying to level up in the quantum race, establishing itself along major players like the US and China. The timing cannot be any better because Google shocked the world last week with the announcement of their quantum chip Willow, which cracked one of the major challenges in quantum error correction and also performed a computation in under 5 minutes. That would take one of today's fastest supercomputers 10 septillion years. Basically, Israel's launching into this at the perfect time. Hopefully we see a continued focus on this sort of thing in the future, even just from a science and tech enthusiast perspective. I would love to see what comes out of this research. And obviously, this whole section was written completely by myself and not my producer, David, who absolutely hates science.
No, you're lying!
We'll be right back with the rest of the show in just 1 second, but you guys probably already know that the Israel Guys represents much more than just 15 million views and now over 300,000 subscribers, thanks to you guys, and 5 videos per week. Let me explain. Hayvel is our nonprofit organization that encompasses amazing projects in the land of Israel. From Greening Israel to Operation Itai, and of course us here at the Israel Guys, we are honored to be a part of restoring God's kingdom in Israel's biblical heartland. More important than what God has allowed us to be a part of in 2024, we are even more excited for what God has in store for 2025. Tens of millions of people need to hear the truth about Israel. Breaking through the fog of fake news and propaganda, this year alone we reached 15 million people. But what if we could reach 30 or even 50 million people in 2025? Tens of thousands of trees need to be planted on the mountains of Judea and Samaria. Hundreds of farms and Jewish communities need serving in Israel's heartland. The world needs to come, see, hear, know, and then rise up with an overwhelming wave of support for the land and people of Israel. Right now, we're in the midst of our end of the year fundraising campaign thanks to the generosity of matching donors. Every dollar you give will be doubled for twice the impact. That means that $100 will become $200 and $500 becomes $1,000. Please help us reach our goal by December 31st. Click the link in the description below to help us out with that. For today's spotlight on Judea and Samaria, IDF Central Command Head Major General Avi Bluth signed a military order on Sunday that could spark a massive surge of building in Judea and Samaria. Guys, feel free to read the article. It details it more. The JNS article, link it in the description below. But essentially, this order applies legislation relating to urban renewal to Judea and Samaria, whereas this legislation was previously only in effect within Israel's pre-1967 borders. Under this legislation, construction projects in Judea and Samaria will reportedly also benefit from significant tax benefits. According to Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, this order will allow for the, quote, continuation of urban developments in Judea and Samaria, just as it is happening in the rest of the state of Israel. This is something that we love to see. Israel needs to take ownership of their land, and thankfully this is just another step in the right direction. Al Jazeera just put out a statement on Sunday. They said this, quote, Al Jazeera Media Network condemns in the strongest terms the killing of its cameraman, Ahmed Baker al-Lu, 39, by the Israeli occupation forces. He was brutally killed in an airstrike that targeted a civil defense post in the market area of Al-Nusayrat Camp, central Gaza Strip. There's just one problem. Something Al Jazeera definitely doesn't want you to know is that this guy who was killed, Ahmed Baker al-Lu, also served as a platoon commander in the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Did you guys hear that right? This guy was a terrorist. Thankfully was. Now, according to Ynet News, the IDF confirmed in a statement that Lu had been killed in a strike on Hamas and Islamic Jihad terrorists operating in a command and control center embedded in the offices of the Civil Defense Organization in Nusayrat. The IDF said in a statement, quote, among the terrorists eliminated in the strike was the Islamic Jihad terrorist Ahmed Baker al-Lu, who previously served as a platoon commander in the Islamic Jihad's Central Camps Brigade. The terrorists used the command and control center to plan and carry out an imminent terror attack against IDF troops. Once again, this is just another example of the media using this war as an excuse to demonize and delegitimize Israel. For our Zionist scripture of the day, Psalm 102, 13 through 16 says this, you will arise and have mercy on Zion, for the time to favor her, yes, the set time has come. For your servants take pleasure in her stones and show favor to her dust. So the nations shall fear the name of the Lord, and all the kings of the earth your glory. For the Lord shall build up Zion, he shall appear in his glory. Amen. Guys, don't forget to check out our end of the year fundraising campaign. Get some exclusive Israel Guys merch as our gift to you. You can just click the link in the description below. As always, stop listening to the lies and propaganda and connect with the truth of what is happening here in Israel. We'll be back soon here at the Israel Guys. Catch you in the next one.
In case you didn't know, the Israel Guys represents exponentially more than 26 million views, 500,000 subscribers, and 5 videos every week, all of which cut through the fog of fake news and propaganda to bring the truth and reality of what is happening in Israel to the world. Let me explain. 2024 has been a blast in more ways than one. At the beginning of the year, we focused heavily on Operation Itai, a project we started after October 7, 2023, to bring in emergency supplies and equipment for the farms and Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria.
Operation Itai has launched. We're bringing critical supplies to the communities of Judea and Samaria. These 200
Thanks to so many of you, we raised $3.7 million and brought in thousands of protective vests, helmets, drones, flashlights, security cameras and gates, and so much more.
In the beginning of 2024, we brought in a group of courageous men to prune the vineyards of Judea and Samaria. With so many of the Israelis called up to the war front, the farmers were really struggling, and we were able to step in and meet that need. Even though pro-Hamas thugs tried to shut down the Israel Summit, our pro-Israel event that we hosted in Nashville, Tennessee, truth prevailed. We were blessed to quadruple the number of those in attendance and held the event at the beautiful Ramsey Center. Thanks, Dave Ramsey. All in all, nearly 1,500 people attended this historic event, either in person or via our live stream.
Fruit pruning, special ops, harvest, and tree planting trips, Hayuvel brought over 200 volunteers to Israel, serving 29 farmers here in Judea and Samaria. Together, we planted 3,000 trees, over 10,000 vines were planted, and over 100 tons of grapes harvested. Guys, on the media side, our Israel Guys team has knocked it out of the park, reaching over 15 million people just this year, growing our YouTube subscriber base by nearly 3 times. We also released a 4-part series on sovereignty in Judea and Samaria that was massively successful, reaching nearly 500,000 people. Guys, that's 2024 in a nutshell. But guys, honestly, we're even more excited about what's coming in 2025.
The war in Israel looks as if it's winding down. U.S.-Israel relations are looking up, and we're already seeing a huge trend of Christians making plans to visit Israel in 2025. That's why we're planning to bring 300 to 500 volunteers to Israel's biblical heartland, to harvest hundreds of tons of grapes, prune hundreds of dunams of vineyards, and to plant tens of thousands of trees and vines, and so much more. We plan to continue Operation Itai, bringing in supplies and equipment to the small farms and communities in Judea and Samaria, meeting their most critical needs.
Here at Hayuvel and the Israel Guys, we're making plans to expand even more. Tens of millions of people need to hear the truth and reality of what is happening in the land of Israel, cutting through that fog of anti-Israel propaganda and fake news. You know, in 2024, we reached 15 million people. What if we could reach 30 or even 50 million in 2025? You know, I believe the time has come to finally end the farce of the delusional two-state solution and instead introduce the world to this sovereign territory of Jerusalem, Judea, and Samaria, Israel's biblical heartland. With the world finally poised to accept the best peace plan for both Jews and Arabs in this controversial region, the time has come to support Israeli sovereignty and the entirety of the land of Israel. The only question that remains is this: will you join us? Right now, and only through December 31st, 2024, we are conducting a matching fundraising campaign to support the work of the Israel Guys, Hayuvel's volunteer programs in Judea and Samaria, our Greeting Israel tree planting program. Every dollar you give is doubled for twice the impact, and we have some incredible exclusive merch gift products that are not available anywhere else. When you donate, you're going to get these products, and remember, your impact right now is doubled for twice the impact, and all of this goes to expanding the work of Hayuvel and the Israel Guys and greening Israel's work in 2025. It's so important. Only up until December 31st, so please click the link in the description below. Thank you so much for your support.